Somebody asked in my comments if I have any family. That's a fair question. I'm sure a lot of people have that question, so I thought I'd go ahead and answer it. Um, I have a whole other channel about like the abuse and stuff. I'll leave it commented down below. You'll have to scroll all the way down to like there's these videos. There's one it's like 58 minutes long, and I'm sitting in a blue bedroom. So if you see those videos of me sitting in the blue bedroom, you see the really long video, you'll know that you're in the right section. Those videos, that's where I was transitioning out of living with my dad into living in a car. And I'm documenting every step of it, and I'm explaining the whole time why this is happening and the way it's happening and everything. So if you're really, really interested in that, I know it's a lot of content, but you can find it on that page. A short version of it, I can go ahead and give you that in this video. The thing is, it's like shortening things down tends to misrepresent the full situation. So if you actually want to understand, you can go watch those videos. Um, this might just leave more questions than answers. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping I can answer some questions without opening up more and more questions. It seems to be kind of the thing, but I've had this problem um, pretty much my entire life, because I mean that's just how it is. It's like if you try to tell someone your life story in one or two sentences, they're not going to completely get it, or they're going to jump to conclusions or make assumptions that just aren't true. So here we go. Let's try this. um, I guess we can start with like the timeline of me living in my car. January of last year, I moved out of the house. So I was living with my dad, and he's abusive. I've made all kinds of videos about the abuse and stuff, so we'll just wrap it up with he's abusive. And I'd been trying to leave ever since I was like in high school, like 15, 16 years old. I'd been trying to leave. Every single time I would come up with a plan, get a little bit of money, have something lined up, he would just come in and wipe it off the face of the earth. Just it would not even be a possibility anymore. And he's so clever, he's such a narcissist that I really didn't see it for what it was. And so I just thought, oh, I failed. Let me try again. No, I failed. Let me try again. No, I failed. Let me try again. So I kept trying to get out, not understanding what was going on the whole time. And it got to this point where he started threatening to kill me. And like I said, there's videos on that. There's one video on that channel where I've got in the thumbnail, there's a scope thing, not a scope, but a target for like guns. In that video, that explains that whole part of him, trying to kill me and stuff. So I got the hell out of Dodge. And I mean, at first I called the police, and they were like, oh, there's nothing we can do about it. And I'm like, well, he stole my gun, and he tried to kill me with it to frame it as a suicide, but he wasn't able to get into my room because I had barricaded the door. And they're like, well, can you prove it? And I was like, no, I can't. And they're just like, then there's nothing we can do about it. And so I packed as much food. I had been storing food in my room because the abuse had been getting pretty bad, to the point where even if I tried to leave my room, I would be attacked. So I had a lot of food stockpiled and everything. And anytime I tried to have money or save money, he would steal it or demand money or something along those lines. So I started keeping food. Anyways, um, so he stole my gun, he tried to shoot me, and I called the cops. They said, we're not going to help you. And I'm like, okay. So I left. And this is really hard to find a starting point, because it's like I can always keep going back further and further in time. I can always say, well, before this happened, and then before that, this happened, and then, well, before that, this happened. We could do that all day. So the reason he was trying to kill me is because he sexually assaulted me when I was a child, and I was reporting it to the police. And I don't know if he's psychotic or what. It would be a lot easier just to sum it up with he's psychotic, but he's a narcissist. He has um, a lot of crazy fucking tendencies. Anyways, um, so there's this whole drama with dogs, where he was killing my dogs and hurting my dogs. and he was beating up one of the dogs to the point that I felt like the dog needed to be put down, and I couldn't take him with me. I knew I was trying to get out. I knew I was trying to leave. I wanted to leave. I was tired of being drugged and raped and beaten and my money stolen and all this stuff happening, and I was just trying to get out, never could. And I had these dogs, and I felt obligated to these fucking dogs. I wanted to protect them, and he knew that, so he used that against me to keep me hostage longer. So one of the dogs, he'd beaten this dog, and it had internal bleeding because it would throw up blood. It had broken teeth. It was in chronic pain. I tried taking the dog to the vet, and the vets were like, he's too aggressive. We're not even going to touch him. We're not even going to look at him. And so I had to do everything on my own that I could. But unfortunately, if you're not a vet, there's a lot of medications and equipment and things that I don't have access to. So I couldn't help him with a lot of the injuries that he was getting. And he was getting injured every day. He was getting hit with the truck. He was getting kicked. He was getting all this stuff. I've made videos about all this too. So I'll stop going on that whole thing. But so I put the dog down, and then in retaliation, he wants to kill me. Right now, he'll sit there and say, oh, it has nothing to do with the fact that you went to the police and told them that I raped you. He'll sit there and say all that. But because he believes that. He believes it's just because, I put the dog down. But he's murdered plenty of my dogs, and I don't know. Anyways, so it was a hard decision for me to make as somebody who doesn't do that kind of thing. And in fact, like, I'm vegan and stuff. I mean, I used to go hunting as a kid, but it was something that was necessary. It was the vet wasn't going to do it because they weren't going to touch him at all. But if I could have got him into the vet, I could have gotten him put down that way. So, anyways, he started trying to kill me, yada yada. So I left. I got all the food, stuffed it in my car, ran the fuck out of there. Barely made it. As I was leaving the end of the neighborhood he was coming in, if I would have been 2 miles back, he could have stopped me and shot me. But I got out. So he was pretty pissed. I could tell he was pretty pissed that I got out because he wanted to shoot me. He wanted to kill me. So I got out and I started living in my car. Well, the car I had, it was mine. I paid it off. I had the title in my hand. It was my car. That's a whole other thing about how he kept me hostage by buying this expensive car and then putting it on me. And then, anyways, so I was like, you know what, this car's paid off. And at first I was just living in that car, and I was like, this is fine. This is going to be fine. But he works for AT&T, and he's like really good at hacking into like phones and any kind of technology. So we'd had this car for that car, not this car, but that car for a long time. And he had already figured out how to hack into the mics and listen to my conversations with people I was having on the phone because I'd caught him doing that a few times. He figured out how to track my location with the car. I caught him doing that because I would leave my phone somewhere and then take my car somewhere, and then he would tell me that he knew I went to such and such a place. Like, the only way he would have known that, you know what I mean? Anyways, so I was sleeping in the car one night, and he came up and opened up the door. So somehow he was able to unlock the door, and he was looking for something. I don't know if he was looking for my keys or what, but he was like patting me down and like compressing my chest to the point that I passed out. Typical stuff he would do when he was raping me. So I called the police, and they said, well, we're not going to do anything about it. They lied and said, oh, we'll check the cameras, but they didn't. So I was like, I have to get rid of this car. Like, I had to get rid of that car because it wasn't safe. If he knows my location, he can get inside of it. Like, it's not safe in that car. So I just got rid of it. I was like, I went to the dealership, traded it in, got a new car. At the time, I was still waiting to get my job at Amazon, but they were like, hey, Amazon's a good place to work, so we'll go ahead and sell you this car so you can get to work and actually go work in Amazon. So they sold me this car, and I've been making payments on it, but I've been having trouble with it. So, anyways, as far as like other family goes, you've got I have grandparents on both sides. So we'll start with my dad's. My dad's parents, his mom has passed away. His dad, he's never really been involved in my life anyways. I think he's caused a lot of problems as far as like generational trauma and stuff goes. But he's always just kind of been doing his own thing. I hear from him maybe once every 2 or 3 years. He might send me $50 like on my birthday or something every now and then. But other than that, like, we don't really have that kind of relationship. Also, like, he's not really in the position to be taking care of me, like, we don't live in the same state. He doesn't have any money he could give me. He does like, he can't offer me a place to stay with him. Like, I'm not even sure what his living situation is, because I know they have like a cabin up in the woods and stuff, so if I were to go live there, that would be really no work for me to do. um so that whole thing, I'm not really trying to get in with my dad's family. And then there's my mom's family. They've betrayed me because they keep talking to my dad and telling him things they shouldn't tell him. So I've had to stop talking to them completely. Um, and then there's other people in my family, like cousins and stuff, that are roughly my age. But the problem is, they're in shitty situations too. Like, one of my cousins works just as hard as I do, and I'm not sure what his living situation is, but I don't think he has any, extra room for me to stay with him, or any money or anything that he could help me with. And then my other cousin, she lives on like government assistance type programs and stuff. So they're really strict at her apartment, where they're like, you have to get like authorization before you can have a guest to come here. The landlord has to meet them. They have to sign off on it. They can only stay for like a certain amount of nights, and then you can only have guests like 4 times, like 4 nights out of the whole month. You can even have guests. So like, trying to stay with her, that wouldn't work out. So yeah, as far as family goes, like they're just like, I really just don't have family. That's part of the big problem, is like, a lot of people have their family that they can turn to, and we're in this like new era, it seems like, where people used to be friends. I remember when people used to be friends. I had an older brother that's 4 years older than me, and he drove and he had a job, and if he had a flat tire, one of his friends would come over and change it for him. And if he needed money, one of his friends would give him money. If one of his friends owned a tire shop, then he'd get a discount at the tire shop. One of his friends owned a oil, would change his oil for him for free. um if he needed something, a friend would give it to him. If he needed a place to stay the night, a friend would let him stay the night. If one of his friends needed a place to stay the night, they'd come stay with us. Like, everybody used to just be friends, but now it's like, are you gonna give me money? How much are you gonna give me? And it's like, you have to exchange something. Like, no one is just gonna be your friend. And but people used to just be friends because it was like, oh, you're my friend, right? It's like, I know that if I come help you today, and then I have a problem next week, you're gonna come help me. And then there's like 10 of us that are all friends. So if so and so needs a place to stay tonight, they can stay with me, because for all I know, I'm gonna be out on the streets in 2 months, and I'm gonna need to stay with them. But nowadays, it's not like that. Like, maybe it is. Maybe I just don't have those kind of friends. But I remember that's how it was back in the day. Like, everybody had a friend that would help them. Now it's like, if you don't have the money, you can't do it. It's ridiculous, but